Good evening and welcome to your City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, June 1st, 2021, and it is 7 p.m. Regular meetings are held on the first and third Tuesday of each month in the council chambers at City Hall. At this juncture, I would like to ask our City Clerk, Madam Gomez, to do the roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilmember Jennings,
Here.
Councilmember Rains,
Present.
Councilmember Sharma,
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Genoway,
Present.
and Mayor Menegar.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to ask Council Member Sandy Rains to provide us the invocation, followed by Council Member Kelly Jennings to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Oh, gracious God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather together once again to do the service of the community and also to serve you. We ask for your discernment as we do the business of our community, and we ask you for collaboration and graciousness as we lead forward in the new beginnings that we have ahead. Thank you. Bless our families. Thank you for allowing us to honor our fallen soldiers yesterday and for remembering the real reason for the celebration is our freedom and the freedom you provide us and the service of many that have provided us. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, ladies. Moving on to the next item, which happens to be presentation. This evening, presentation is the announcement of the winners of the inaugural Mayor's Photo Contest. The theme of this photo contest is the beauty of Laguna Niguel. We are very fortunate to receive nearly 50 unique entries by members of this great community. Before I announce the winners and invite each of them to join me to receive their award, I would first like to thank everyone that submitted their photos. We clearly have many extremely talented photographers here in the city, both professional and amateur, which made it extremely difficult to select the winners. Now on the winners, our first winner in the category of beauty in wildlife goes to Ms. Sandra Kennedy.
Take this with
Thank you. Join us.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your beautiful submission and congratulations on this award. Would you like to say a brief comment about the beautiful photo that you've taken? The
Thank you very
location and other
much.
information.
It's at Laguna Niguel Regional Park, obviously. I was just there with my daughter and saw one goose with all the goslings. And I just thought it was too cute. It was like she was at gosling daycare. It was her job to watch over all of them. And so I decided to submit it.
On behalf of the great city of Laguna Niguel, I want to thank you. It was a very difficult choice, but hey, you made it to the
Here I
top.
am. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful picture.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for sharing
Thank
that with
you.
us. And this is for you too.
Thank you so much.
Our registered photographer is going to take our picture. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Next, in the category of beauty and nature, we have Ms. Catherine Jensen. would you please join me to receive your award?
Thank you. This is a beautiful park. And we walk every day with my husband. And then I love Laguna Niguel City.
We love you too.
Thank you. And nice to meet you, Mayor, and everybody here. And God bless you all. And God bless America.
Absolutely. Thank you so very much for your beautiful picture.
Thank you. Take the mask off.
Oh, sure. That was a rehearsal. You can join us.
That's my husband.
Yes, you can join because he took the picture, right, with you. Just checking.
I walk with him.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Finally, we have our grand prize winner. Indeed. Our next winner in the category of beauty and landscape is Ms. Anu Sapala. Please join us. Congratulations on being awarded the winner in this category, and we thank you very much for sharing your talents and passion with your community. Would you like to say a few things about the beautiful picture that you took?
I'd love to. Thank you. I think I took that up on Pacific Island since I've been working remotely this whole COVID time. Instead of commuting to Santa Ana, I spent all my time in the beautiful Laguna Niguel. And I go on morning walks and evening walks. And this must be from an evening walk. I've taken thousands of photos. So this is one of them. And I love doing it. And
I see El Niguel Country Club, I see Dana Point, I see San Clemente, and I see San Juan Cap.
yes.
Very good picture.
Thank
Yes,
you.
indeed. It covers all the cities, and it showcases the beauty of our great city. Thank you to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And finally, we have our grand prize winner. I'm very excited to announce the 2021 Mayor's Photo Contest grand prize winner is Ms. Nicole McDaniel. Unfortunately, she cannot be here. I extend our congratulations to her. And Madam City Clerk, do we have a message from her?
Excited to find out that I was the Mayor's Photo Contest. I have been a resident of Laguna Niguel for about 8 years now, and as an artist and photographer, I have found endless inspiration in the city. I really want to thank City Hall for putting on an event like this. It's so important to the arts, and I'm so proud to call Laguna Niguel my home.
Thank you so very much. I will be meeting with her on a special occasion to present her the award on behalf of the entire City Council and the great city of Laguna Niguel. With that, I'm concluding our presentation.
Okay, we're done.
We're done.
Thank you.
This one's on item number 6. Discussion budget item.
Well, that concludes our presentation. So we will now move on to public communications. Any person wishing to address the city council will need to complete and present a gold-colored request to speak form to the city clerk. These forms are available on the counter that is located near the door to the council chambers. Please be aware that the time limit will be 3 minutes for each person to speak. To allow equal time for speakers, minutes may not be given to another speaker. You may have another person read your written statement. Madam City Clerk, do I have any requests to speak forms besides what I have here?
No, Mayor, that's all of them.
Very good. Public communications is closed. We now move on to our consent calendar, items 1 through 7.
Mayor, I'm sorry. That was to open public communications. You have 3 comment cards
That's for items
for the
6.
general. Mhm.
Item number 1. Okay, very good. I got it. The first is, this item is not on the agenda. I wanted to ask Ms. Stephanie Otto. Please come to the podium. State your name and your home address, please.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Stephanie Otto, 26 Via Denola, Laguna Niguel. Thank you, Mayor and council members.
Welcome.
Thank you. At the last meeting, the council presented 2 proclamations declaring Mental Health Awareness Month and supporting kindness throughout the community. According to the Trevor Project, a leading national organization providing crisis intervention and suicide prevention services to LGBTQ youth is 5 times more likely to attempt suicide than heterosexual youth. We also know that suicide is the second leading cause of death in kids aged 10 to 24. With the increase of mental health issues during the pandemic, our kids have never needed the support, love, and acceptance of their leaders more than now. I serve on a committee at my children's high school that works with youth and diversity, and I can tell you that my eyes have been open to the pain and suffering of LGBTQ kids who are already going through the normal teenage angst, now grapple with questioning their sexuality and anxiety around their acceptance in their family and their community. It would be such an amazing show of support if it may even save a life here in Laguna Niguel if the City Council acknowledged their struggle for acceptance by supporting Pride Month. In the Kindness Proclamation, you recognized race, ethnic, and age makeup, but excluded the LGBTQ community. As June is Pride Month, there is still time to put together a proclamation supporting our LGBT community here in Laguna Niguel. And I please urge you to do so. Perhaps with Laguna Niguel's strong support of the military, you'd be interested to know that a ship I have a lot of admiration for, the USS Theodore Roosevelt, as my not-for-profit through the US Air Force airlifted over 5,000 masks when they were hit with COVID. They have a committee called GLASS, Gay, Lesbian, and Supporting Sailors, that will be holding multiple Pride events to support those sailors. As I said on their Facebook page today, one Navy, one team. Let's follow their lead here in Laguna Niguel. I have another thing not on the agenda that I want to mention, a concern I have about the sober living homes issue. I've been following the housing element stuff, and I'm concerned that the state will come back. I know a lot of you have probably read the recent article in the OC Register, but come back and request that we revoke our ordinance 2018-194. And I'm curious what the plan is going to be going forward to protect our neighborhoods and those individuals that go to those facilities seeking genuine help and are oftentimes put at risk while in the sober living home. Those are my 2 comments not on the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before you leave the podium, just for the record, I wanted to acknowledge your email. I immediately sent it to our city manager, Tammy Laterna, and she did a superb job by explaining everything that was inclusive, on and on and on. This item is not on the agenda. I don't want to dive into the discussion on that, but City Manager Tammy Laterna, do you have any comments that you would like to supplement my quick comment?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. The goal of our Kindness Proclamation was to be inclusive and expansive in lieu of specifically naming individual groups. In fact, we wanted to reach and be relevant to as many groups as possible, and that was the purpose behind it. It's important to note that we also support Orange County Human Relations, which serves to promote and foster and respect mutual understanding, bias, and prejudice. And we are an active participant in that group. And additionally, we've also taken mental health in this community very seriously. We've supported mental health programs specifically for our youth with Wellness Wednesday workshops for our teens. So in summary, the point of the proclamation was to be inclusive, and we do take those issues very seriously.
Absolutely. And on the final comment, if I may accentuate what our city manager mentioned, just for the record, since March 2020 that the COVID-19 pandemic started, I have asked our police chief and our city manager to provide me with the specific data statistics. This city, out of 34 cities in Orange County, is the only city had 0 hate crimes being reported to our great police department. We are very proud of it. We live in peace and harmony with everyone. Every citizen in this great city has utmost respect from everyone, and we are a very unique city. With that, thank you very much. Moving on to the second request to speak. Oh, Martha McNicholas, the Honorable Martha McNicholas. She didn't put it on the form, but she serves our Capital Unified School District Board. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Minigar and council members. It's good to be back in person and see you face to face. I just have one comment. Thanking you for our collaboration with the city and the school district, but also to Chief Ascension and his reinvigorating of the Adopt a School program, making sure our police officers are known to our school communities. We are one of the only school districts in the state that have been providing in-person instruction since last September. So, and I just wanted, I haven't seen you actually since the interview process, so it's good to see you, and thank you for your collaboration with our school administrators and supporting all of our students. Thank
And
you.
if I may add, we have an outstanding police chief and police forces. They're here to serve
Absolutely.
first and then protect.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next and last is Ms. Melissa Caldwell.
Good evening, Mayor Minigar and Laguna Niguel City Council members. My name is Melissa Caldwell, and I live at 25421 Via Studio. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Martha had to say. So I'm a Laguna Niguel resident, but I'm also the PTSA president at Niguel Hills Middle School. And on behalf of the parents at Niguel Hills, I want to thank our law enforcement for the positive impact on the Laguna Niguel community, but specifically on our school community. Our parents as well as students now embrace the sight of seeing sheriffs on campus, and as a result, it has diminished the stigma which was once believed there must be something wrong for a sheriff to be on campus. That is no longer the case. Over the last 2 years, a positive bond has developed between law enforcement and the students of Niguel Hills Middle School. That positive bond doesn't just stop with the students, it also goes on to the parents. Parents of Laguna Niguel also are so grateful, and we have embraced the presence of law enforcement on our campus and are extremely grateful. It is for these reasons that I want to say thank you, and I want to let you know that you're very much so appreciated, not only by the students, but also by the parents. So thank you very much.
Our consent items 1 through 7. Are there any items that need to be pulled for discussions? Council members Kelly Jennings?
Yes, Mayor. May I please pull item 5 and 6?
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Councilmember Sharma?
Also number 6, please.
Number 6. Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway? 6. And I'm pulling item number 7 just for clarification. So do I have a motion to approve the remainder? Okay, it was moved by Councilmember Sandy Rains and seconded by
Councilmember Sharma.
Councilmember Sharma. All in favor? Aye. It passes unanimously. Now we're going to move on to item number 5. Councilmember Kelly Jennings. Oh, yes, we did. I have a request to speak form on item number 1. So I'm going to pull back to item number 1. So let's exclude item number 1 from our vote. Oh, discussion item. Okay, so we're good. Thank you for your clarification. So item number 5, Councilmember Kelly Jennings, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. CEQA is such a problem for our state. It's frustrating and it stifles growth, but I understand that we have to do it. Everyone's in favor of a clean environment, but CEQA has caused unnecessary and expensive litigation. With all of that as a backdrop, I want Laguna Niguel to have a concise guideline so that we can help those who do projects in town. We want Laguna Niguel to be business friendly, but CEQA is not business friendly. Laguna Niguel wants to help the process as much as possible, and these guidelines help make it clear, even though these guidelines are not very clear. So I'm in favor of moving this resolution, and as we follow the state guidelines, I just wanted to express my frustration with, I'm sure everybody else's, that we have to abide by this, but thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments, clarification, amplification? I hear none. Would you like to move the item?
I'll move it.
Would you like to second it?
I'll second.
Yeah, okay, it was moved by Councilmember Kelly Jennings, seconded by Councilmember Sandy Rains. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it passes unanimously. We're going to move on to item number 6. And I start off with Councilmember Sharma. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Initially, in reviewing the police contract with their city, generally it's there's an assumed COLA, cost of living adjustment, that we need to take into consideration of a historical average of about 3.5%. This budget that's been presented comes in under that average at about an increase of about 3.34%. It's within those guidelines that I don't necessarily have any concerns about what's been presented for consideration and what's been approved by prior councils to this point. For the sake of conversation this evening, though, I'd like to focus our attention on a few items, more so centered around the concept of operating efficiencies. I'd like to call upon our chief and the police services to, wherever possible, expand upon reserve operations within our city. It helps mitigate cost and increase police services within our city. Anytime that we can be of assistance with that endeavor, please let us know. Mitigation of unnecessary travel expenses, wherever possible, to do business within the city limits. If you're fueling up, fuel up within the city limits. If you're eating, eat within the city limits. Your presence here is omni at that point, and you're also paying back into our community and the business members and residences within our beautiful city of Laguna Niguel. I would say too that I believe that you have an excellent opportunity as a new chief to our city to not only expand upon the traditions that we've had as far as being a very safe and inclusive city, but also expand upon your legacy in the community. Anything that we can do as a council, please let us know. And with that, I'll pass the gavel to Councilmember Jennings, or as the mayor sees fit. Thank you.
Councilmember Kelly Jennings.
Thank you very much. Thank you. When I ran for city council, my top priority was public safety. Law enforcement and the safety of our residents is extremely important to me, and a fully funded police force is vitally essential to our city. Laguna Niguel has always been and remains fortunate to have the funds to fully pay for its law enforcement. Many of our neighboring cities have not always been as fortunate to have, and they've reduced some of their law enforcement. But Laguna Niguel has been able to increase our police force over the last few years. It's nice to be able to work with the chief of police to ensure that our police staffing levels are adequate. This is the single greatest expenditure that we have, and it's with everything, the price tends to go up. Even though the price is going up, I'm a big supporter of our police services. Our deputies are doing a hard job day after day, and I'm willing in any way to affect our staffing levels to ensure the police force for our community. So as such, I'm in support of the item and appreciate the great men and women of our police force. They put their lives out on danger for us every day. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Managar. What we're talking about is the police contract, and I just want to connect some dots for people here, in that this staffing, this level of staffing is what people from our school district are here thanking the police chief for. So the services provided and the support shown to our schools is part of this contract. This is part, these are the sheriff deputies, the personnel that are assigned for these specific programs. So our chief of police, Captain Asuncion, he develops the programs or outlines what we are going to do this year and where he's going to assign deputies, and that's what comes back to us. So what a perfect evening for our school district trustee and president of the PTA to come to us and acknowledge one of the programs that this contract encompasses. I do have a question. And that is, and because I remember back when, and this is concerning the commercial vehicle enforcement deputy. That used to be, and I apologize for not asking you this before, but I'm sure you have this information at the top of your head. That used to be a shared position, I believe, with Mission Viejo. But the way this looks, it's no longer shared. Do we have that much commercial traffic coming through our city that for one officer, or are we sharing that still?
Thank you for the question. We do have a bit of commercial traffic that does come through our city, especially through our 5 freeway. We currently are not sharing that position just because of the needs of other cities as well. But due to our staffing levels, we're able to maintain and enforce what we need to enforce. So, and as you read through the staff report, I believe that we are at the appropriate levels by maintaining our staffing levels as of right now.
Okay, thank you. I just didn't know if we were still sharing that or had gone back to that. So thank you. And then another question I have, and it's in the contract, but it's something our residents ask about. So if you could just please tell us about it so they know what we're doing, and that's regarding the patrol video systems. So can you tell our residents about those?
Are we talking about the body camera?
No, we're talking about the ones on the vehicles, because the body cams we don't have.
Not as of yet.
Not yet.
We're talking about the dash cams. So all our deputies and patrol units are equipped with we call it the patrol video system, the PVS. And for every contact, by policy, the video will be running as well as the audio. So every unit and every deputy should have that equipment on them and running for every police contact.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And thank you to you and your team for keeping our city safe.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandy Rains.
Thank you so much, Mayor Managar. I wanted to, first of all, start off by really thanking Chief Asuncion for his swift action in such a short period of being here with our city. A couple years ago, we were having a lot of issues with our Niguel Hills Middle School. And one of the recommendations I had asked for was just to have the police show up there and have lunch and whatever, hang out with the kids. And it worked really well. But you came in and went back to a program that we had about adopting a school. And now every school, all 9 schools in our city have deputies assigned to them. So I really appreciate that. And I thank you. I also want to thank you for taking the time to sit with me and explain a lot of different things that you're working on, especially evidence-based policing. And it was interesting as we were talking and you were explaining how you look at the different areas where potential crimes might happen and that you put more forces in those areas so that it reduces the crime because they see your presence. So using your officers and our reserve force, which I was surprised to hear that 20 of our reserve force officers, and they don't even live in this area. They're mostly from North County. So that's a real testament to you and the volunteers that work for this department. And I thank you for that. And finally, I'm really excited because we had a chat and I want to just ask that we look into this and see how soon we can make it happen. But there was some graffiti that we had seen and we've been paying to fix. And when we spoke, you had mentioned something about environmental design that helps to reduce things like graffiti. And so I'm looking forward to hearing about that more and hopefully being implemented in our city real soon. Every dollar that we are paying out for our police services is well worth it. We are getting excellent service, and I couldn't ask for a better department to take care of our community. As the strategic plan says, public safety is one of our priorities. It's actually our most important priority. And I believe when we did the surveys that was the number one thing that everybody said was the biggest reason why they wanted to live here. So we value that and we're showing it tonight, and I support this contract. Thank you.
Very good. Before my colleagues would dive into the final vote on this item, I wanted to open the public comments, and I wanted to ask Ms. Stephanie Otto you're passing on item number 6. Very good. Public comments is closed. Now, do I have a motion to approve this
Move to
item?
approve.
Second.
It was moved by Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway and was seconded by Councilmember Sandy Rains. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it passes unanimously. Now, moving on to the last item, which is item number 7. What I wanted to ask was, I saw a bunch of different numbers, and I wanted to ask our Public Works Director, City Engineer Jackie Scott, to clarify it, because we're going to be voting on this item. I wanted to make sure the dollar amounts are correct. When I look at page 3 of this item, on the top table, I see the selected consultant or the contractor that we are going to be approving this contract to be awarded to. The bid amount is $120,457 per year. When I go to the middle of the document, then the same company is, the staff report says the staff is recommending an award of contract in the amount of $290,000 per year, which is contradicting the $120,000 that I see on the top table. And then when I go to the bottom table, I look at the proposed contract amount. Again, it's $290,000 plus the contingency, which is 20% of that 58,000. And then you're requesting this body to approve $348,000. But when I do the math, 120,400 and sometimes 3 years times the contingency of 20% would be 72,240. So the contract amount for this specific contract is going to end up to be $433,645.20. What I need to know that, what is the total amount that my colleagues and I are going to be voting upon tonight to award this contractor?
Thank you, Mayor, for your question. I'm happy to clarify. In the staff report, the page 3 of 4, as you indicated at the top, is a chart with a bid amount listed. Because this is a unit price contract with an unknown quantity, in order to compare prices, we took all of the unit prices in the proposal and totaled them to find out who was the cheapest or lowest proposed bidder and who is the most expensive. This is necessary because a significant portion of the ranking is dependent on total cost. So this was a way to compare apples to apples. As I mentioned, it is a unit price contract and with unknown quantities. And so we looked back historically in the past 3 years to see what our expenditures were for this similar type of maintenance across the city. And our records indicate that each year we spend approximately $325,000. So with the unit prices that were proposed by Bear Electrical Solutions, we are recommending a $290,000 base contract, a 20% contingency, which is the standard contingency for a maintenance service contract, to total $348,000, which should be adequate to cover our needs over the next 3 years.
So for the record, this contract, we are not awarding to the cheapest firm, the lowest bidder. We're awarding based on responsiveness, quality of work, and a bunch of other factors that this contractor would be bringing the best value to the city.
The good news about this recommendation is that the vendor who we're recommending, Bear Electrical Solutions, is not only the least expensive of the 3 proposers, they also are licensed. They have a
I'll check
number.
their credentials.
Yeah, they have a number of contracts throughout Orange County. Believe they have 16 contracts
Right,
throughout
right.
the county and 60 in the state. They have a record of performance. And when all of those other criteria were ranked against each other, they came out as the number one ranked vendor for this particular service, which is why we're making this recommendation, not just based on cost, but as cost as one aspect of their proposal.
Very good. Before I personally move this item, just for the record, I just wanted to make sure that I talk about that in this city, transparency is extremely critical to all of us. And, this city's, establishment, we want to make sure that whoever that applies and submits a bid or a proposal, they all would be reviewed based on their merit and based on the cost effectiveness of, their proposals or their bid. And with that said, I'd like to move this item number 7.
I'll second it.
It was moved by yours truly, and it was seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The item passes unanimously. Now we are going to move on to the only discussion item that we have tonight, which is item number 1, adoption of fiscal year 2021-2022 operating and capital budget. Finance Director Hendrickson, please provide, as always, your comprehensive and precise staff report.
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. Thank you for having me back here tonight as we go through the second and final presentation of next year's budget. At tonight's meeting, we are seeking the approval of 3 resolutions, 1 to adopt the budget, 1 to adopt the appropriations limit, and 1 personnel-related item. On May 11th, the City Council held a special meeting to discuss the budget, provide insight and direction, and recommend any changes. The current preliminary budget, as presented in Attachment A, is reflective of those discussions and direction. We are happy to report the budget is still balanced. We project a general fund revenues to be $45.4 million and expenditures to be $44.3 million, which is a difference of $1.1 million. Furthermore, this allows the city to bolster our financial position by depositing $350,000 into our Section 115 trust and commit $750,000 towards increasing our reserves. On this slide, you will see a 4-year general fund revenue historical trend. It is broken out into the 4 main sources of revenue, and the rest have been combined into the other category. As you can see, property tax and sales tax are the city's largest revenue sources. We project property tax to be $24.8 million, an increase of 2.9 from the prior year. And we estimate sales tax to be $12.7 million, an increase of 5% from the prior year. As for expenses, we project a budget of $44.3 million. This pie chart is a useful illustration of where this $44.3 million is going. It represents the council's priorities and strategic plan goals, with the bulk of the money going towards public safety and public works. With every annual budget, we take a look at the level of staffing across all departments and suggest changes that benefit the operations. Last year, we reduced full-time headcount from 69 to 62, and this year we plan to keep that full-time headcount the same, 62 full-time employees. However, we do recommend the following modifications. In the Parks and Recreation Department, a recreation clerk reclassified to recreation coordinator. In the Public Works Department, we're going to reintroduce the building and facilities supervisor. The Parks and Recreation Department is moving an allocation to the Community Development Department, where a recreation coordinator will be moved to an associate planner. And there's a non-departmental reintroduction of a part-time management assistant. Besides these 4 updates, no other personnel changes are currently in the suggested budget. Our fund balance at June 30th, 2021 is estimated to be about $40 million, with projected revenues of $45.4 million and estimated expenses of $44.3 million. We will end up with $41.1 million fund balance at June 30, 2022. Furthermore, the $41.1 million balance is broken down into the following categories per our financial reserves policy. We have well exceeded the 50% threshold for economic uncertainty and emergency reserves. We will have put about $1 million into our Section 115 pension trust and have designated savings for deferred maintenance on city assets. At this point in time, the city would have achieved a 93% ratio of reserves compared to annual spending. And while there is no benchmark across government agencies, this ratio is very good compared to other cities. This past March, the American Rescue Plan Act was passed in Congress to combat the negative economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. This federal legislation provides $350 billion of aid to local and state governments. Laguna Niguel is slated to receive about $8.8 million over a 2-year period. The budget document has been updated since the last version to reflect this new higher amount. The first payment, representing half the allocation, has already been received by the city. Since our last meeting, the Treasury Department has provided clearer guidance on spending this money. All funds must be obligated by the end of 2024 and expended by the end of 2026. The city plans to use these funds on investments on city infrastructure. The capital improvement program for next year includes 15 projects totaling approximately $5.1 million. These projects will assist in maintaining our facilities, parks, and roads. The city plans to fund this capital improvement program through the usage of gas tax, Measure M2, Community Development Block Grant, the American Rescue Plan money, a Prop 68 Park Grant, and air quality subvention funds. The capital program presented tonight has not changed since the first meeting. And that concludes my presentation on the operating and capital budget for next year. At this point, I will be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to turn it back to my city council colleagues. If you have any questions from our director of finance before we move on to. Okay, Councilmember Sandy Rains, the floor is yours, and then Councilmember Sharma.
Thank you, Finance Director Hendrickson. As I noticed on here, there was some adjustments made to the reclassifications of employees. So I appreciate that. And it does show a savings of $640,000. What I noticed was, although we're showing a savings here, it doesn't show in the balance that that money is being taken out. So could you speak to how that works and what will happen with those funds?
So that $640,000 number that you're mentioning is in the staff report. That is the amount of savings from 69 full-time employees 2 years ago to us reducing it to 62 full-time employees this year. So that's spread across all the departments, in many different places across the salary and benefits account line items. So it's not necessarily present in this budget. It's a analysis of what it could have been if that reduction didn't happen.
So a follow-up question to that then is, and I appreciate you clarifying that, with the fact that we have 7 less employees, our salaries still seem to be about the same level. Is there a point where you see that leveling off because we're working with less staff now, or do we see a continued increase? Will there continue to be a COLA increase and that will continue to increase that? I mean, we did reduce the reclassifications, which obviously would lower the salary ranges, and we have 7 less employees, but yet it looks like we're still spending the same amount of money.
So the reclassifications that you're mentioning, the ones that we removed, we did not change the numbers in the budget. Anything unspent from reclassifications that aren't going to happen will just eventually fall back into fund balance as unspent designated funds.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Initially, the question that I have in referencing the budget materials that were provided during the last meeting versus this presentation, and maybe just a point of clarification on page 6. In the first sentence here, it says proposed budget for all funds in fiscal year 21-22 has revenues of $54.9 million.
Yes.
Okay. In the prior presentation, had the exact same verbiage, but it referenced 54.6 million, and all the supportive data was the same. So I just want to make sure.
So the difference in those two numbers was the increase in the American Rescue Plan. When we initially had the budget, we had the allocation of 8.2 million, and it went up in this one because of the extra allocation that the federal government's providing us in that 2-year period.
Very good. Thank you. Beyond that, I appreciate the additional transparency that's been lent to this revised budget presentation. Not only have you come out with numeric values as to what the staff cuts have presented to the city, but you've also come out and provided salary ranges so that we understand the material conversation or the nature of what we're addressing when we're looking at these conversations. I initially had some reservations as to the recharacterizations of staff that was being presented in the prior budget meeting. I appreciate that that's been revised, strongly revised. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Very good. Before we move on, I mean, my city council colleague, Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway, and I, we have just comments. We don't have any questions because this is the second round of discussions, deliberations on the budget items, and I'm very happy with the outcome. Before we move on, I wanted to open the public comments, and I wanted to ask Ms. Stephanie Otto to come to the podium. State your name and home address, please. One more time.
Stephanie Otto, 26 Via Denola, Laguna Niguel. I mostly had questions, kind of answered because, and I don't know how you want to do this. I can list off all my questions, or you can. I don't know if you'll be able to answer them all, but
you have 3 minutes to
okay.
use.
I was confused about the 64944. I understood it to be a year-over-year savings and not a budget cut, annual budget cut. And I think it might have been a little bit confusing to the average citizen when they read that. So maybe some kind of language that states, it's a year-over-year savings instead of a current budget cut. The second thing was, wanted to thank you for approving and supporting the installation of EV charging stations and all the smart city initiatives that are planned in the upcoming CIP. So I want to thank you for that. And then my second kind of question was, in the city manager's message, page 4 under property tax, city manager indicates it's common for property tax revenue to increase 2 to 3% annually. And I'm just curious why we were, or kind of what we were hearing from, I guess, our consultants on why we were planning for kind of the top of that bracket at 2.9% property tax increase. That's basically my questions.
Very good. Thank you very much. The public comments are closed. If our Director of Finance would like to chime in to those 2 issues that it was raised.
Yes, definitely. Next time we can definitely clarify more in the staff report on what the year-over-year versus a one-time savings are. So we will do that going forward. As far as property tax is concerned, depending on the housing market, most people expected to see drastic declines in the housing market, slowdown in sales, static real estate numbers, sales prices dropping, but that was never really the case. We always build into the budget room for fluctuations. And as most of you well know, the real estate in South Orange County, especially Laguna Niguel, is very strong. The quantity of sales never really dropped off. The prices never really dropped off. So this is in line with prior fiscal years.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to our Director of Public Works, City Engineer, Jackie Scott, for any comments? Last minute reflections?
No, I don't have any additional comments. So thank you very much. The Public Works Department's very much looking forward to delivering the capital improvement projects that we presented on May 11th. Thank you, Mayor.
Very good. Thank you very much. Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director Hendrickson, for presenting this information again. We have gone over it so many times, then I know I've gone over it quite a bit with the city manager and the different directors to have my questions answered, and I appreciate them being very thorough in this. Again, I will state that I love this budget format. It is so transparent. It is so easy for our residents to pick up and read. Want to point out a couple of things. Number one is we hear on the news about the American Rescue Plan, and the funding that's coming to cities. And we are getting $8.8 million. And I'm very appreciative of the fact that those dollars are being used in this budget on one-time expenses, because we do not want to get used to having that, because it won't be there after the American Rescue Plan goes away. So that was a very important, what's the word I'm looking for? Can think that isn't the word, but it's a good one. I'll use it. That was a very important consideration when this budget was prepared. Also, I want to point out to our residents of the a tremendous increase in programming in our Parks and Recreation Department. We have this beautiful new community center opening, and there's going to be a lot of programming taking place. So it's a lot of staffing that needs to happen there, and it'll be a great benefit to our residents. But also, there have been programs that have been worked in before the center opened, and I want to point out that Director Rivera has also brought to the forefront our programming for special needs teens. And that hadn't been really happening before, and that has really been enhanced. So things have been added along the way that, unless you really dive into it or have a personal connection with it, you may not realize that all this is happening here in this budget. Also, I know people have mentioned that, well, they're worried about, interest rates are so low. Yes, they are. They're pathetically low. But our Director of Finance, in every single area where we receive interest income, you'll notice the drop, and that has already been accounted for when this budget was prepared. So, it's being responsive to the needs of our residents, to the programming that takes place, and also what's going on in the outside economic markets. All of that is in this budget. So we have a rock solid financial foundation. Takes a lot of work to get to this point. And it's also listening to the input from the entire city council throughout the year, because it's not all of a sudden like, oh, okay, here's some new programs. No, we're talking to staff and developing things throughout the year that are part of this budget. And then if it's not in this budget, come 2021, 22, it doesn't get done. This is the work plan for the city for the next year. So it's a good foundation, and I appreciate the work that went into it. And I also appreciate the responsiveness to our questions and our concerns and the adjustments that have been made. So thank you.
Very good. Councilmember Kelly Jennings.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So budgets are dry and they're not fun. Sorry, Director. But the primary reason we are sitting here in these seats is to ensure that to take care of the community, and we do that through this budget. That is extremely important to me, as it is for the rest of our council. This follows our strategic plan perfectly, as we've developed over the last 2 years. It provides for your protection. It keeps our city beautiful and well-maintained. It takes advantage of innovation, and importantly, provides for the well-being of many people in desperate need of our help who would otherwise be in a really terrible place. What's before us tonight is a compromise. It has been discussed at length and is really an elegant solution of taking care of 67,000 residents and businesses. But most important part of this budget is you, our residents and business who make this possible through the hard-earned taxes that are paid and your dedication to shopping local. Laguna Niguel has one of the lowest tax rates in the state, but is still able to provide one of the highest levels of service. And this budget is the best reflection of our efforts for you. Unless it gets unsaid, that is all for you and for our city. So thank you, and I would like to move this.
Thank you. Councilmember Sandy Rains.
I had my questions answered, and I just wanted to take the opportunity to reiterate how valuable this is to me, that not only did we spend the time to put this all together, the staff, I know you put countless of hours of planning and collaborating with each other to get to this point, but also that you took our comments and our discussions that we had during the budget workshop and were able to come back to us with something that's a great compromise. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate that you're listening and that you're moving our city into the right direction with great budget, balanced budget, and also looking at our reserves and focusing on the things that will take us into the future as a strong, healthy city. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. For me to recap our discussions, I'm very pleased and proud of our city manager, above all, and the entire departments and city staff for providing the best, not only balanced budget, but also making sacrifices and cutting when it was not some of the items that were not necessary. And I'm extremely proud of all my colleagues that we do have a united city council here to do only one thing, which is to serve the citizens of this great city that we have obligations to report to. So with that, we now have 62 employees. We are going to have effective, the beginning of the next fiscal year, which is not far from now. And when I look at 191 cities in Southern California spread out over 6 counties, when I look at other cities in San Diego County, LA counties, Riverside, San Bernardino, even Ventura County, sometimes I look up their budgets to see what's going on. We are very fortunate that not only we have increased our reserves, but also we do have a very healthy budget surplus, which is going to serve to the next generation of this city. And with that, I cannot extend more appreciation than thanking our city manager that is the leader, is the CEO of this city, that we are all fiscally conservative. And that's all we want to do for the citizens of this city, to provide first-class avant-garde services when it comes down to the state-of-the-art community center that, sorry to say that, even Newport Beach cannot brag about theirs, because when I go there, I tell them that, and we have the best facilities for the citizens of this, this great city that, is unmatched. So with that, again, my sincere appreciation to our city manager and all the departments and all the staff. I know when we're talking about contracting out, when we have 62 employees, sorry to say that we are lean and mean, but hey, we are serving the public. This is not our money, it's people's money. So we have to be extremely cautious how we, spend that. So with that, do I have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll move it.
Okay, let's see who was first.
You move it, Mayor Minigar.
Okay, I move this item. Any second?
A second.
Who was first? Okay.
Kelly.
Okay, it was moved by yours truly and was seconded by Councilmember Kelly Jennings. All in favor say aye.
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 The item approves unanimously. That concludes our discussion items. So we will now move on to council reports and city manager report. I start off with Councilmember Kelly Jennings. I have to be fair and equitable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. A couple very quick comments. Congratulations to all of our graduating high school seniors, the ones who have graduated, and for the next week graduating. It's been a really tough year and a half for our kiddos, but really proud of their determination and successful end to this endeavor at this part of their life. So really proud of them. And Mayor Pro Tem and I interviewed 14 wonderful students for the youth committee. Unfortunately, there were only 9 positions, so that was a little tough, but it's so great to see the enthusiasm of our youth and for the passion they have for our community. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Then Councilmember Sandy Rains.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I wanted to say one of the committees that I serve on countywide is our Housing and Community Development. And as the American Rescue Plan and a lot of the other federal dollars that are coming down through HUD, they have expanded the number of housing certificates that are available to Orange County residents to about 1,100 additional ones. So if you do need help with housing or vouchers for housing, reach out to the county and they might be able to help you if you qualify. Wanted to congratulate all of our high school graduates. You made it, and we are so proud of you. We wish you success in the future, and I leave you with this message for the future. You don't have to know everything to start, but you have to start to learn something new. So be bold, be brave, and be bright.
By the way, if I may interject, that's your patent statement,
Yes,
right?
it is. Thank you. And I've started a lot of things and learned a lot of new things as a result of it. So I challenge you all for that. The OCFA board last week voted to delay our budget process because we did not have the clarification that we needed, and we did not have a transparent budget presented to us like this city. So I'm proud to say that I was there advocating on behalf of our residents here in this city, and we will be reviewing the budget and looking at adopting a healthy, transparent budget in the near future for OCFA. This weekend, we'll be meeting and greeting our goats, and our OCFA firefighters will be available to share about fire safety on Saturday and Sunday from 12 to 4. I believe you had to have reservations, and I don't know if it's sold out, but I think it is. But the final thing that I should have ended with the positive stuff, but I'm sorry I didn't. A few weeks ago, I went to the CUSD school board meeting, and it was a very long meeting. So I give kudos to our board members who are serving our CUSD school district, but I was disappointed to see that a cultural proficiency program was adopted. It's quite a tragedy when we have a 60% reading proficiency and a 58% math proficiency, and yet we're looking at adopting programs that don't improve the education of our children. I want to thank Trustee McNicholas, Davis, and Bullocks for voting for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sharma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I continue to spend time, I believe, generally working to establish strong relationships and a true understanding of what everybody's roles and responsibilities are. And to that end, I spent some time this last month with Jonathan Orduna from Community Development. I want to thank him for his time and insights as to the history and what our vision as a community should be. I look forward to working with you over this series of years. In addition to that, I took time over the last month. I serve as trustee for the OC Vector Control. I went to their facilities and toured their facilities. They have quite an extensive operation. I never thought mosquitoes were so involved, but apparently it is a quite involved process. From breeding to killing, it's from front to back. I want to thank Rick, the district director or district manager, Rick Howard, Tanya Pett, as well as the entire team there for their welcoming and their camaraderie. In addition to that, I'd just like to thank Tammy Letourneau, our city manager, as well as Russell Narahara, which is kind of hard to say very quickly, unless you own the name, of course, right? But I want to thank them. We've been working, co-chairs Raines and I, on the Military Support Committee to dig up historical information pertaining to the operations and structure of the committee so that we continue to move forward and develop and grow the operations. And they've spent an exorbitant amount of time. I don't know where you find all the time that you do, but digging up information so that we can have a broader perspective and restructure our objectives with that committee. So again, thank you for that. Finally, I'd like to call attention to a reoccurring item that I believe needs some additional consideration paid to it in our city, namely electric bike safety. While initially it may seem innocuous, it's electric bikes. I think it's a bit misleading when you look at the words electric and bike as far as the overall safety is concerned. It's come to my attention multiple times since my election my inauguration back in December, in that initially it started with trail issues, safety on trails, people riding too fast, people not regarding the safety of others that were walking or maybe slow or unaware that the bikes were coming so fast as well. And now that's spilled out onto our roadways and is causing additional issues for pedestrians on the roads and motorists. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take a moment to bring that not only to the attention for a broader conversation, but a broader conversation and maybe some action steps that we can take as a city going into the summer months before we really hit the peak of summer vacation and travel and stay at home. We have an excellent opportunity here tonight with our trustee from CUSD, as well as a PTA president, Melissa Caldwell. Thank you for joining us. Perhaps I could call on City Attorney Ennis, Tammy Letourneau, City Manager, as well as Chief Ascension to engage and find out how we as a community can bring more awareness to the safety protocols on a broader spectrum. Thank you.
We're looking to bring a report forward.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Elaine Genoway.
Thank you, Mayor. The Orange County Public Library System serves 1.6 million residents in 25 cities in Orange County. It's the third largest library system in California and 20 in the top 20 nationally. On May 20th, I chaired the OC Library Advisory Board meeting where we reviewed and accepted a report that we commissioned in late 2019. The consultant firm Management Partners reviewed the library funding allocation formula, the MOU between the county and Irvine, the library tier system, and library operations best practices. After extensive review, it is recommended that the current funding allocation formula be retained as is. Any adjustments would not result in a more equitable distribution of assets. And the recommendations to the best practices are considered enhancements, not changes. We also reviewed the annual budget for the final time. We had done this in previous meetings as well, and then forwarded it to the Board of Supervisors. So I want to be sure that our residents know that the Orange County libraries are funded through your property taxes, but they are not funded from the general fund of the library of the county. There's a separate line item on the tax bills that goes directly to the libraries. So they have about 350 employees and about it varies each year, but about a $70 million budget. But that is a great resource for all of our residents to be making use of. Young, old, anyone in between. You can even get a high school diploma on the library website. And that has helped some young people who have had challenges in life. So there's a lot you can do, online training for your employees, many, many things. So just want to be sure that our residents are aware of that benefit that we do have. I've also been invited to be on an advisory steering committee of key stakeholders in Orange County to support the re-engagement of older adults in the post-COVID environment. Charitable Ventures, which is a local nonprofit that supports and empowers community leaders in capacity building, fiscal sponsorship, and collective impact, has been contracted to facilitate this. This is a very short-term, but needs to move rapidly because we are very soon to re-engage the older adults, and there's many issues that need to be looked at, including mental health issues. And then I want to thank everyone who worked on the Memorial Day video. It was remarkable. It was wonderful. And I spoke to Donna Mulvaney this morning, and the recognition of Dennis in the video really touched the hearts of her and her daughter. So she wants to extend her appreciation for that. I'd also like to welcome 2 new restaurants to Laguna Niguel: Snooze AM Eatery, wonderful breakfast, and then Callow Kitchen. So we have some new places in town to eat, and they are absolutely fabulous. So you know the song "School's Out for Summer"? Well, that's this Thursday. So everyone, please, please, please drive carefully, drive safely, as children will not be in school. They're going to be outside. They're going to be walking. They're going to be skateboarding. They're going to be riding their bikes. And then also our youngest drivers won't be in school, but they're going to be on the road more. So to all drivers, young, old, and everyone in between, please, please, please slow down and drive safely. And this is a concern that I have with increased speeding. You know, it's the feeling of summer, and especially it's going to be the time, June 15th, when everything is supposed to open up, this feeling of freedom. I'm very concerned about speeding, and we call Crown Valley Speedway. So can I ask our Chief of Police Services, do we have plans to address this summertime traffic safety issue?
Thank you for that question. We are currently we are addressing every issue from speeding to loud exhaust. And with our Adopt a School program, just because school is out doesn't mean that we're not going to be around. We're still going to be monitoring our schools, which a lot of them fall in the Crown Valley Golden Lantern area. So we'll still be around monitoring. And like I said earlier, we have the appropriate staffing levels to do what we need to do.
Okay, thank you. So if any teen drivers are listening, slow down. Okay. Also, the library has a reading program to incentivize our young ones to read during the summer. In a previous life, I was an elementary school teacher, and I can tell you that summer slide is a very real thing. Summer slide is when students don't read during the summer, and they can slide back an entire grade level of their reading level. So don't let that happen. Take advantage and enjoy all of the incentive programs that the library has. And I know something will be going up on our city social media. So congratulations to all of our graduates. I'm so excited for you. I know Thursday's a big day, and myself and my colleagues will be out there cheering you on as you graduate. So congratulations. This is just the beginning. You have a wonderful life ahead of you, and your community wishes you the very, very best. So we have a lot of upcoming events. So listen closely to our city manager and pay attention to our city website, because I know that there's a lot of things that are going to be going on that we're all going to be very excited about. With that, I thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I attended as the mayor the city selection committee, which has its quarterly meetings in Tustin, but because of COVID-19, it was virtual. And I'm very pleased to inform you that for the California Coastal Commission, all the mayors decided this year for the first time not only to send 2 nominees to Governor Gavin Newsom, but also to send, 4 nominees to the governor's desk so that he can decide who he would like to pick from Orange County. Orange County is not represented well, sometimes not at all, in the Coastal Commission. So this year we decided to nominate Council Member Chris Duncan from the city of San Clemente from South County, Mayor Farah Khan from Irvine, a central, representative, Council Member Arliss Reynolds from the city of Costa Mesa, from Central Orange County, and Mayor Joe Kalamick from the city of Seal Beach from North County to be the final nominees that would go to governor's desk. And as soon as he decides who he would like to pick from Orange County, I will keep you posted on that. With regard to the Orange County Human Relations Commission for the 5th District, which includes our city, we decided, all the cities within the 5th District unanimously decided to keep Amy Bush from the city of Mission Viejo to hold the same position as before. I attended the Joint Finance and Investment Committee of the Transportation Corridor Agencies, and I'm very pleased to announce that the toll revenues are going up, and we are getting very close to pre-COVID-19, which is before March 2020. San Joaquin Hills, that I represent, the revenues are up by 77% to pre-COVID, and Foothill Eastern to 88% level of pre-COVID. And also, I would like to announce that now you can pay your tolls at CVS drugstores as well as 7-Eleven. I attended Orange County Council of Governments meeting, and we had a very long, lengthy closed session meeting that I cannot talk about the details, but we are going to have an open session next month, and I'll be more than happy to discuss the decision that we made with regard to Reno or Orange County cities, as well as our position in reference to HCD, what we are going to be doing with that organization based in Sacramento. I also attended the California Mayors Coalition. The great state of California has 482 cities, and the membership is growing. Is a very educational coalition, and I will keep you posted on the news that would be suitable to the citizens of this great city. I also attended Orange County Mayor's weekly meetings, and we are going to be having in-person meetings. With that, I'd like to turn it over to our capable city manager, Tammy Letourneau.
Thank you, Mayor. As was mentioned this evening, we have a summer full of wonderful events, and we can't wait for everybody to come out, and we want to celebrate with you. We have events every weekend in June, starting with what was mentioned earlier is our GOAT meet and greet and OCFA fire prevention education. I also want to let you know that we are having another community center open house on Saturday, June 26th from 10 to 2. We'd love everybody to come join and come take a look at the beautiful building. And as of today, all of our facility rental information is up on our website. So you can rent that beautiful space for your next party. And we look forward to having you do that. Our summer concerts are back. We have one on July 30th and one on August 13th. And stay tuned, cliffhanger, because we hope to have a couple more earlier in July that we're going to announce soon. So I also want to highlight we have 4 events for seniors that will be at our Crown Valley Park at the Community Center at 1 p.m. on June 17th for an ice cream social, June 29th for movie and popcorn, July 15th for movie and popcorn, and July 29th for meet and mingle and a hot dog lunch. And that's all leading up to the reopening of our center and all the new improvements we have over there, which will be on Monday, August 2nd. And we can't wait. I will be there to greet everyone as they come in, and I can't wait. So check out our website and our social media for more information, or call the Parks and Recreation Department, and we're happy to have everybody come out. Our next Shred event is scheduled for Saturday, June 26th at 7 a.m. until noon at Sea Country Senior and Community Center instead of City Hall. And the last update is in line with the state's projected June 15th reopening of California plan. City Hall is going to move from the current schedule of being open 4 days a week in person with virtual services on Fridays to being open 5 days a week beginning the week of June 14th. That 4-day-a-week schedule with virtual services on Friday has allowed the city to do a deep COVID chemical clean. And now we're able to alter that plan a bit, which means it takes shorter amount of time to do the cleaning. And so we're able to open back up on Fridays. But our virtual services have been extremely popular. I want to reassure everybody they're not going away. We're keeping them all. So you can still do all the things you've been doing online, but we're happy to see you back here and welcome you back into City Hall 5 days a week, starting June 14th. That concludes my update.
Thank you very much. We are now adjourned at 8:17 p.m. Thank you and stay well, Laguna Niguel.